Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This includes ANTIFA and others who are leading instigators of this violence.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, reporting from the HQs of Goose Goose Panda. FCRMC. ANTIFA stands for anti-fascism. ANTIFA is a useful umbrella term that denotes a broad spectrum of groups and individuals of far-left or anarchist tendencies. The term itself means simply anti-fascist. Fascism is a form of far-right, authoritarian ultranationalism, characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, as well as strong regimentation of society and of the economy, which came to prominence in early 20th century Europe. The first fascist movements emerged in Italy during World War I, before spreading to other European countries. Opposed to liberalism, Marxism, and anarchism, fascism is placed on the far right within the traditional left-right spectrum. Fascists saw World War I as a revolution that brought massive changes to the nature of war, society, the state, and technology. The advent of total war, and the total mass mobilization of society had broken down the distinction between civilians and combatants. A military citizenship arose in which all citizens were involved with the military in some manner during the war. The war had resulted in the rise of a powerful state capable of mobilizing millions of people to serve on the front lines and providing economic production and logistics to support them, as well as having unprecedented authority to intervene in the lives of citizens. Most scholars place fascism on the far right of the political spectrum. ANTIFA is labeled a far-left extremist group. Contrary to how it is often portrayed in the media, ANTIFA, short for anti-fascist, is not a single organization. Rather, it is a loose network of groups and individuals who coordinate their anti-racist activism on an ad hoc basis in different areas both within and outside the United States. ANTIFA has no centralized leadership structure or formalized membership. In the United States, some anti-fascist groups share ideas by participating in the Torch Network, which evolved out of the old Anti-Racist Action Network. But neither the Torch Network nor popular anarchist websites such as It's Going Down and Crimthink exert any command and control over local activists. Instead, like-minded supporters coordinate autonomously, typically in small, tight-knit groups with other activists they know and trust. Internal decision-making is based on group consensus and direct democracy. Activists communicate face-to-face and through social media and encrypted apps like Signal. These and other operational security practices are meant to protect activists from unwanted attention by the police and white supremacists. Such secrecy complicates efforts to estimate the size of the ANTIFA movement in the United States. Just as supporters do not become card-carrying members, local groups do not publicize their numbers. In some cities such as Berkeley, California, and Portland, Oregon, local chapters are active and well organized. Nationally, however, the movement is small and dispersed. ANTIFA has about 5 to 15 members in most American cities where it operates. Given the movement's small size, Bray is skeptical about ANTIFA's ability to direct the nationwide protests against police brutality and systemic racism that have erupted across the United States in recent weeks. Despite the small size of the ANTIFA movement, its members do not follow a single ideology. Anti-fascists express political beliefs commonly associated with the far left end of the political spectrum. Such beliefs include different varieties of anarchism, communism, and socialism. Historically, anti-fascism has been associated with the larger anarchist movement. More recently, many key organizers behind the Anti-Racist Action Network and other groups have drawn on anarchist ideas in coordinating their activism. Even today, many anti-fascists follow anarchist principles. In the year after Trump's election, Antifa's activism spiked. First came the violent demonstrations immediately before and during Trump's inauguration on January 20, 2017. Alongside larger, mostly peaceful protests, an anti-fascist black bloc smashed storefront windows, vandalized a TMS, and set a limousine on fire. The following month, Antifa activists and other protesters spray-painted graffiti, broke windows, and threw Molotov cocktails during a demonstration at the University of California, Berkeley, to prevent the alt-right provocator, Milo Yiannopoulos, from speaking. Then, In August 2017, anti-fascists fought white supremacists and neo-Nazis at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, which ended in tragedy when a white supremacist drove his car into a group of anti-racist protesters, killing one and injuring more than 30 others. The intensity of these direct actions reflects many Antifa supporters' belief that Trump is a fascist demagogue who threatens the existence of America's pluralistic, multiracial democracy. This factor helps explain why such Antifa supporters are so quick to label the president's Make America Great Again supporters as fascists, and why Trump is so quick to label Antifa as a terrorist organization. Much of Antifa's activism relies on nonviolent tactics such as community organizing, letter-writing campaigns, and doxing. But some supporters, especially those who hold anarchist views, also engage in physical violence. This approach includes spontaneous violence against property and the physical assault of people, like punching a Nazi in the face, which happened to another alt-right figure, Richard Spencer, during the Trump inauguration protests. Antifa activists believe that violence and confrontation are necessary to prevent white supremacists and other fash from organizing public events where they could spread their beliefs and recruit new supporters. They also believe it works, citing examples like Spencer's announcement that Antifa is winning after activists fought his supporters during a speech he gave in March 2018 at Michigan State University. Lamenting anti-fascist willingness to go further than anyone else with violence, intimidating, and general nastiness, Spencer announced that he was suspending his public speaking engagements at public universities. Anti-fascists celebrate such announcements as proof that they are taking the fun out of fascism, and they dismiss critics' concerns that they are blocking Spencer's and other opponents' right to free speech by countering that neo-Nazis and white supremacists are not interested in free speech. Instead, they are interested in accumulating power in order to build a white ethno-state. The only way to prevent the rise of fascism, anti-fascists insist, is to stop white supremacists from spreading their views by force if necessary. The point is not to give them a platform, explains another Antifa activist. You don't give fascism a platform because once you give it a platform, it becomes normalized. Sometimes you have to use direct action to stop it because protesting, signs, yelling is not going to do anything. You have to make them afraid. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, and hit the like button. Also, follow us on Instagram as tagged on the videos. Have a great day and stay blessed.
We support the right of peaceful protesters, and we hear their pleas. But what we are now seeing on the streets of our cities has nothing to do with justice or with peace. The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. We cannot and must not allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live without violence, prejudice, or fear. My administration will stop mob violence, and will stop it cold. It does not serve the interest of justice or any citizen of any race, color, or creed for the government to give into anarchy, abandon police precincts, or allow communities to be burned to the ground. Won't happen.
Such senseless acts of anarchy are not exercises of First Amendment rights. They are crimes designed to terrify fellow citizens and intimidate communities. There are groups that exploit the opportunity to engage in such crimes as looting. We have evidence that Antifa and other similar extremist groups have been involved in instigating and participating in the violent activity.
Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. We support the right of peaceful protesters, and we hear their pleas. But what we are now seeing on the streets of our cities has nothing to do with justice or with peace. The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. We cannot and must not allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live without violence, prejudice, or fear. My administration will stop mob violence, and will stop it cold. It does not serve the interest of justice or any citizen of any race, color, or creed for the government to give into anarchy, abandon police precincts, or allow communities to be burned to the ground. Won't happen.
Such senseless acts of anarchy are not exercises of First Amendment rights. They are crimes designed to terrify fellow citizens and intimidate communities. There are groups that exploit the opportunity to engage in such crimes as looting. We have evidence that Antifa and other similar extremist groups have been involved in instigating and participating in the violent activity.